Welcome everybody to Wheel to Wheel Season 16 AL2 Round 12, and we are here for the Hungarian Grand Prix. We are just over 30 miles south of the Slovakian border in Budapest, where the Hungaroring has hosted the Hungarian Grand Prix since 1986. Here we have a 2.27 mile long circuit, 14 corners, 6 to the left and 8 to the right. Couple DRS zones to help with the overtaking, and we're going to be doing 70 laps of racing. We are in the middle of the Pirelli range with the C2, C3 and C4. The softs are just a second quicker than the mediums, but the softs will be degrading a lot quicker than the mediums, so we'll see who can put it on pole here. Last season Steve-O got a 1:14.754, and that was on the soft tyres, so let's see what this session brings us today. Today I'm joined by Vern, and we'll see how this Grand Prix session pans out. How are you doing, Vern?
I'm doing very well this evening. Thanks for having me again for another fun-packed evening of racing. Yeah, this track, qualifying does tend to be the most important element of the Grand Prix weekend at Austria. God, I'm really struggling this evening. At Hungary, just purely because this is one of the more difficult tracks to overtake on here. So we'll wait and see what strategies and tactics these drivers do this evening. But grid position is very much important here.
Yeah, on Wednesday when we was racing I was definitely lacking on some pace, but managed to hold position for several laps because, as you say, it's quite difficult to overtake here. You need the right setup to manage the flow of the Hungaroring.
James Laws has decided to do a few donuts at the exit turn one by the looks of it. Struggling to get the heat in those tyres.
Already comments on the stream. Evening, Cos. Sega, he's in this race and he's watching our stream, but we'll be going on board with one of these. Who's the first car out? We've got a Renault at the front.
It was James, but he went and spun it, so I believe it is now Maxi, the first car out. I believe Cos is watching your streams. He's actually banned from qualifying this evening, if I remember correctly.
Ah, right. Yes, that would be correct.
So that'll be explaining why he's watching your stream rather than getting ready to go out there.
Yeah, because we do have appeal processes, and anyone who's appealed and they're found to be at fault will get penalty points and serve in qualifying bans or race bans. But we are just about to go on board with the Renault of Maxi as he's about to start the first flying lap of this qualifying session.
Yep, so he exits out the final corner down the DRS pitch straight towards turn 1. Probably the only real feasible overtaking point on this circuit. Brake about 100 metres into turn 1. A few different lines you can take through there. You don't have to always hit the apex. You can run a little bit wider. Down to turn 2, which is the other DRS straight here. A long turn 2. Through the kink of 3. A bit of traffic in the way. May have held him up a little bit. On the approach to turn 4, be careful not to cut the corner and be even more careful not to run out wide because your lap will get invalidated. Turn 5, a real clumsy, lazy corner, and then into the chicane of turn 6 and 7. Get it straight as possible, and then through the sweeping left right of 8, 9, then 10 and 11. Try and carry as much exit speed as possible out of here on the run down to turn 12. Heavy stop again, but you want to get a good exit to get yourself into turn 13, which is a bit more of a flowing corner. You want to try and carry the corner speed in there. Use the pit lane entrance as a bit of the exit of 13 into turn 14, and again try and get on the throttle as early as possible onto the DRS straight to complete your lap.
Yeah, 1:16.3, very good time there from the Renault driver on the soft tyres. So already completely smashed the pole time. No, I beg your pardon, completely wrong. Pole time last season was a 1:14.7.
I was going to say we're about 2 seconds off.
Yeah.
Yeah, a few different choice of tyres as I was expecting for this session because, as you said in your the intro, the softs are obviously quicker, but they do degrade rather quickly. So the medium might be a choice here for some of these drivers just purely for a strategic element for the opening stint of this race. But if you end up towards the back of the grid on those mediums, it may not be worth it.
Well, that's exactly as you say, grid track. So if you wanted to go long on the mediums, you're sacrificing possible track position for the start of the race. So it's definite way up as to whether you have pace here or not. CHM putting it into third place provisionally with a 1:16.9.
Just on board with Blood and Sand, who's going through 6 and 7. On my screen, it showed him going purple through sector 1. Don't know how accurate that is with this spectate mode, but we shall see as he comes through the left right sequence. Comes up to turn 12 now.
Well, Blood and Sand, we know, has got quite a decent amount of pace here.
Yeah, it's looking quite a tidy lap. He's probably looking like he's just getting a lap on the board, because again he's leaving a little margin for error. This will put him, second to 64.
A very good lap.
Xerxes, I think he invalidated that lap. Yeah, he's going again.
He must have, yeah. No time on the board. But he is on the medium tyres, and we know Xerxes has got a little pace. So interesting to see where that's going to put him. Deficit around 1 second between the mediums and the softs.
It's a good start to the lap. He's made the we've got yellow flags just up ahead in turn 4. And he's cut the corner again. That's another invalidation. I think there might have been a spinner. I think James Laws might have spun around turn 4, turn 5, so there were yellow flags and there was no one else around him. And he may have had an incident further up, which might have put Xerxes off there.
Yeah. It's very difficult tracks, as you say. You know, you've got a few of the corners, especially in that second sector, where if you touch the curb, it just completely kills your race. But then you've also got the other white lines to consider, because if you cross them, you'll invalidate your laps. And I think this is one of the tracks where we see the most penalties from.
Yes, most definitely. And just the other added complex element to that is, especially the middle sector, it's just one line. There's no real anywhere to overtake unless the driver in front makes a huge error that just lets you get up the inside somewhere. But yeah, it's one line. So if you come across traffic, or if you just come across someone to lap or someone to battle, you'll just have to be patient.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had Daisy here, James, the second McLaren driver. Last season, he scored third place. He crossed the line third, but he had 7 penalties, which then dropped him down in the standings afterwards. But then old Dad's also crossed the line 5th, but had 9 penalties. Appleplex had 13, so yeah, it's a difficult track for limits.
How the heck did he not get disqualified? Normally about 10 is normally the maximum limit. The game lets you have more often or not.
Yeah, it's 12 or 13, which is the limit, but it must have been either that or they weren't all track exceeding.
Yeah. Or he evenly spaced them out so the game let him off. One of the two. As Daisy starts a lap. He did do a lap earlier on the medium. He's now up there on the soft. He did a 17.0 before on the medium. Let's see if it is a second. Should be looking at a low 16. As there's a Haas doing some lawn mowing.
Yeah.
Push it turn 2.
Must be Silver Slugger because Blood is in the pits.
Yep.
Purple sector 1.
2/10 up on his own time in the first sector. Again, looking rather tidy.
Cos says dry and cloudy for the race, but they show some rain at plus 45 minutes.
Okay, that could throw a bit of a spanner in the works again at the end of this race.
That might also explain the times a little bit, because as you say, we're about 2 seconds off as Daisy gets another purple sector. 2 seconds off the previous pole time, so maybe they're running a bit of a mixed setup. Yeah,
slightly softer setup to be a bit more forgiving than the rain, perhaps.
Yeah.
Comes across the line. This will put him 15.9.
Fair play.
1.1 quicker on the soft to his medium time earlier on, which is about right.
Yes.
Actually.
Silver starting his lap. We've got Red Bulls coming round. Xerxes is about to start a lap. He's now on a set of soft tyres.
Yep, we'll see if he can get a lap on the board. Having unfortunately used up his medium set without getting a valid lap time on the board. Comes down to turn 2. Oh, I hate these external spectate mode cameras on this track. They're not great.
Yeah.
The approach is turn 4. Shows us purple sector 1.
Yeah,
Turn 5.
we know Xerxes has pace. His race consistency is growing as well, so he's really building his complete racecraft together.
Through the sweeping left-right section. Again, looking smoother. Definitely, I think, again, maybe just an element of just get the lap on the board.
Yeah.
Again, it's showing purple sector.
It's a strong, confident lap. With a small lock-up coming round, hairpin of 13.
I think he's been quite clever because he's saved a little bit of ERS right to the end there. There you go. Boom.
Wow, drop the mic. 1:14.4. That beats the previous pole time.
Old Dad sneaks in the second on a 15.0. Right behind him. That's a gap and a half already out in front there. That's the time to beat.
James Laws, I think he's just put a time in. But he's looking very loose on turn 1.
But I'm on board with... Dino goes into the pit. That's pretty close to last year's pole, isn't that? 14.4, wasn't it?
Yeah,
14.3, you said?
It's 14.7.
Oh, 47, okay, we've beaten it.
Yeah, that's why I thought the 16s had beat it. The 7 stuck in my head, so I thought it was 17.
Okay. Now Max is on an L slap.
I think James is on a flyer and is just coming into sector 3. And it's a purple sector 2, 7/10, nearly 8 improvement on his previous best. So that will jump him a few positions.
Yeah, it will. Oh, again, but as you say, looking rather loose on power on. Very nervous rear end.
Yeah.
Comes round up to 4th.
Fair play. Very good time. But he does seem to struggle with the power. So probably could have got a better time there as well. Maybe it's a setup issue or a feedback issue.
Yeah, quite possibly. But yeah, that's definitely looking a little nervous on the rear. Probably differential, something like that. That could be tweaked. You have some settings in the car that you can change. Like Maxi's about to start a lap. If he can improve on his 16.3.
Yeah, nearly everybody on the soft tyres now. So 5 minutes left of the session, and they've all ditched the medium tyres, and they all want that track position now.
Yes, definitely. It's a good turn 1 there for Maxi. Seems to get a good traction and run down to 2. Keeps it tight. Some people like to run it sort of out wide and come back in, but he kept it tight through 2. Kinka 3 is just flat. And how committed is he through 4? Oh,
very good.
Just holds on. A bit of understeer through turn 4, but it just held on through the chicane now. Now, again, you could really attack the curves here if you want, but given, again, a bit of margin for error. And now the left-right sequence. That's, yeah. Unfortunately, a bit too overcommitted.
I was just about to say this track, though, it is the Hungaroring. You need confidence and commitment to get the speed in. But then, as we were talking about the curbs and the track limits, if you don't get it perfect, it's very costly.
Yes. Yeah, the lap time will be gone with no difficulty whatsoever around here. But you've got to use the track. You've got to use every inch of the circuit because it's that tight, that narrow. And as I said earlier, there's one line through the majority of this track that you have to be that committed. Otherwise, you'll find yourself seconds off the pace.
Yeah.
CHM snuck up the
Commitment
fifth there.
or conviction, that's what it is.
Yes.
But CHM, he improved by 6/10, putting him up into 5th place on the soft tyres. So 3 minutes left of the session. Drivers have got enough time to come out the pits, go for one more run if they want, but if they've used their soft tyres already, they'll either be looking for some fresh, which will mean they'll be scrubbed for the race.
Daisy's on the lap and CHM just gets out of his way. Might have not helped him. Oh, the lap's gone anyway.
Yeah, as you say, that
Again,
distraction might have put him off.
Again, he was barely over the white line. That's the limits. That's the boundaries you're talking there. There is no margin for error.
Yeah. So this is what I mean. James Daisy, he was crossed the line 3rd last season. So he's definitely got some pace here. But if you can't manage them limits, then it's going to penalise you.
Yeah, that's going to be a little bit confusing for us now with the McLaren boys, aren't they? We're both
James and James. Yeah.
So yeah, that's going to be interesting to deal with. As Daisy goes again. He's done a few... oh God, there's all sorts of cars around turn 2 and 3.
Just as I flicked off Daisy as well. It's,
He's pretty much matched his first sector, but he's not... It's not up, but he has done a couple of laps on this set, so it won't be optimum.
No, and then he's got to run the race on this set, and he's 9/10 off old Dad, so he's got a lot of work to do if he's trying to improve his position.
He's going to run out of ERS before the end of the lap, though, so it's not going to help his cause at all. He's a 10th up, but so this may still be an improvement, even with the lack of ERS. He's good. No, it's gone again.
No,
ran out wide.
Just outside. It's not like the real F1 where you get the full curb. You have to stay within the white lines, or at least 2 tyres within the white lines. But he does complete the lap, and I don't think, as you say, he hasn't got enough to go again. And
no, the fuel light's on anyway, so he's going to run out of fuel before the end of the lap.
Xerxes, did he improve? It was a 14.4 before.
I think he's... Is he not just starting now? I thought he was on the lap.
Just starting, sorry.
Now. I think he's just starting his lap now. Although, to be honest, he might be in a position where he's got pole already, and this is just to be out there just in case.
Old Dad's is coming in, but purple sector 1, he's pretty much matched his time, 14,000. Sorry. 14
thousandths quicker, yeah. He's got the McLaren in front of him. He's hoping not to... get in the way. It's not the sector you want to be stuck behind a car when you're on your quali lap.
Hopefully just far enough in front to not cause any dirty air, but no, he invalidates his lap, and he was 5/10 up. Oh my God, he would have been in the 13th.
Flying, and the McLaren didn't look like he wanted to get out of the way at all. That's a shame. Yeah, that would have been a 13. That would have been a heck of a lap.
The only person left now is Silver Slugger. He is 3/10 up on his previous time. He's in the final sector. He's got a lot of work to do, though.
Nope.
And it doesn't look like he's done it, no.
Maybe choosing he wants to start on that medium set. He set his lap earlier on. But yeah, that looks like that's our grid.
That does.
Dino's the only one out there, and he's not on a flyer.
I mean, that's impressive of Xerxes. Pole by 6/10, and he had another 5 in the bag.
I was going to say, could have been over a second clear of second place if you finished that lap.
That was incredible. But I'm not going to say any more on this subject. Because I have witnessed commentators curse previously.
Well, I did as recently as was it France for the Ferrari guys? I said they got a perfect chance against the Red Bulls, and they both had a shocker. So yeah, I'm going to join you on that commitment of just saying nothing.
I think we're just waiting for Dino to be pulled into the pits.
Yeah. Yeah, sort of scenarios like that, I don't know why they just don't go and cross the line, it'd be quicker.
Yeah.
There we go.
So that is our Hungarian Grand Prix short qualifying session over, and as we said, Xerxes for Red Bull taking pole with a 1:14.4, and then we have Old Dads in second, Daisy in third, James in fourth, CHM in fifth, Prev in sixth, Maxi in seventh, Blood and Sand in eighth, Dino in ninth, I Let Down Estate in 10th, Slugger in 11th on the medium tyre, and Sega serving his qualifying ban, so he did not set a time. But Sega and Slugger will get free tyre choice at the start, and everybody else will have to start on them soft tyres.
Yeah, and it's sort of nicely packed from third down. But yeah, the top two are quite a bit of a margin to the guys behind them. Xerxes he pulled a lap out, and it would have been even more so if that final lap had come together. Didn't just run wide through turn 11, but he'd already had pole position set there anyway.
Yeah, Sega commenting on the stream, have a good race, guys, and Xerxes saying, I've practiced this track.
We can tell.
Yeah, it is very evident there. But Xerxes is also leading the driver's title at the moment. We've had Cal and Woody move up to AL1. They do currently hold first and second place. But top of the active drivers, Xerxes is in third. And he has one fastest lap, one pole, but he now can add another tally to that score. He's at the top at the minute with 228 points, shortly followed by Old Dad's Rules. So the two of these going to be the next Callum Woody by the looks of it. They're going to be trying to run away with it as much as they can. But McLaren still at the very top of the Constructors' title, 114 points clear of Ferrari. But Red Bull are only 1 point behind Ferrari in third place in the Constructors' title. And Xerxes will be looking to do some damage to that if he can, but Xerxes and Old Dad's really bringing the battle on the driver's title and the constructors, with the exception of the fact that they're both being beaten by McLaren. But at wheel to wheel, we do a combined constructors, so we take the constructors points from AL1 and the constructors points from AL2, and we make an overall wheel to wheel constructors title. So as I previously said, McLaren dominating the AL2 Constructors title by 114 points, but McLaren are fourth in the combined title, behind Ferrari by 184 points. But Ferrari, although there's 1 point between them in AL2, they are leading the AL1 title and leading the combined title with 824 points. Red Bull 74-point deficit to the Ferrari team there, and Racing Point, whoop whoop, are 141 points behind.
Did you really have to do that?
I did. Shout out to Pillars. Whoop. Really carrying the Pink Panthers.
Yeah. He's had a very good, every round I've joined the league, he's been right up there.
Yeah, he did have a couple of weeks where he was unable to attend, so he's had three did not start, but he's only 40 points behind Paulie Orange, who's currently leading the AL1 title. But that'll be where the difference in the constructors is.
Yes. I mean, yeah. No, I'm just thinking. So I'm just having a look at the table and thinking. I was just looking at McLaren and thinking, oh wait, no, I'm now Renault, so I'm having to sort of look at my having moved aside for Cowell and Woody to let them have the McLaren in AL1 after they so politely asked if they could have it.
Yes, but in the AL1 constructors title, you are well ahead. You've jumped to a team which has got 230 more points than the McLaren team had that you was in previously in the AL1 constructors.
Just got to start contributing more points for Renault because I've done one race and that was a retirement. So yeah, it's been a good start.
I'm contributing points, but they're not the same points as Pillars bring into Racing Point. My highest finish is 8th twice, and then after that is 10th. So I'm very thankful of the fact that we now score points down to 20th because
yeah,
seven races I wouldn't have scored points.
Yeah, it's a good little feature that just to allow more drivers to score points.
Yeah, really.
Because it keeps the motivation up, basically.
Yeah, it makes you think that you're doing your 2 hours for something else. Because I think Wednesday was a difficult race for myself. You know, I was quite low on pace and outside of the top 10. So had we not introduced that rule, then I'd have been doing the 2 hours for nothing.
Yeah.
I felt like George Russell does.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't race on a Wednesday at Hungary just because I purely wasn't really back home in time to sort of be in preparation for it. I hadn't done any laps, and I was half asleep, so I didn't want to be a menace to any other driver out there. And that was one of the reasons why I retired from Silverstone as well, just purely down to tiredness. And again, my pace was dropping. I mean, I was a highest third on that one at Silverstone. I think I dropped down to P10, I think, before I was barely able to keep awake.
Yeah.
I was struggling that much.
But yeah, wheel to wheel, we do 100% distance, so you definitely need some longevity. And as you say, if you're not quite feeling it that day, it's a long, hard task.
Well, we had
complete.
We had the slight delay. We had the slight delay with the Britain race because we had the lobby seemed to glitch out, so we had the delayed start, which didn't help. Formation lap. Sega, the only driver on the medium.
Yeah, so although Slugger did do his lap on his mediums, and it looked like he backed off to try and stay on them, gets free choice and goes on the mediums, on the softs, sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, the crucial element is fresh softs compared to the guys in front of them. So
yeah. And yet to see Sega's pace. Sega set the fastest lap last season, so he's got to have something in the bank. And he's, as you say, starting on the mediums. Track position, it's difficult to overtake here, so he's starting at the back. He's playing the long game. Interesting to see how that will affect his race.
Yeah, he's going to want to, obviously, play the long game, try and stay out of trouble and not break his wing. But he's not going to want to sit back there and play the long game too long, especially if the guy to the front start gapping the rest of the field, because it would then reduce his potential of gaining further positions later in the race.
Yeah.
But the chance of safety car here is a little bit higher than other tracks as well.
Yeah.
So that could still come into effect. And change the whole complexion of the race.
So all of our 12 drivers coming round to line up on the start grid.
Slowly into position.
And we have the lights. Boogity, 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 let's go racing. And Xerxes has a decent start, but Old Dads is pulling up on his inside and coming down to turn one. Old Dads will have the benefit of the inside line. The McLaren driver collecting the back of the Red Bull car there, and there's a lot of ghosting going on, so not really sure what is happening there, but Xerxes has lost the race lead, and the two McLaren drivers are going side by side. And there is no love lost between them, as the AlphaTauri is also getting involved in that fight, going very wide after turn two.
Oh.
And
there was two cars on the grass on the run up to turn 4 there. I don't know what happened there. camera change view, but there was 2 cars off the track there. I think it was a McLaren. It was James Lords.
And CHM has caught the inside of turn 3 and he's around.
I'm not sure who that was with James Lords off the grass, but that would have been relatively high speed for that section of the track. They'll be lucky not to suffer any damage there.
So difficult to follow what was happening there at the start. Lots of action for lap 1. James has lost James has lost 1 position, now 2. As the Renault of Maxi comes down the inside, but James is missing his right end plate.
So yeah, there was some damage suffered there, but the 3 leaders, Old Dads has not lost the lead. On my screen, he's just the timing screen decided to not tell the truth again at the moment.
Yeah. Sega, unfortunately, in the pits early on, so he must have been involved in that. Sega, James and Prev all in the pits, but as you say, Xerxes, Old Dads and Daisy, top 3, carrying on with this race, building a massive gap of 5 seconds to the AlphaTauri of Dino.
Yeah, I saw Prev had a spin coming out of turn 1 at the start, so I don't know whether he clipped someone to cause him the spin. I didn't see what happened to Sega, and then obviously we saw James Lords had a coming together with someone on the run to turn 4.
But Dino's also carrying wing damage, which is why I think he's suffering.
It might well have been Dino then. So I'm pretty certain it was a white car.
Yeah.
So that might explain that then, and he's going to get passed by Max. Oh no, he's not. A bit late on the brakes there. Maxi not quite able to get into turn 12. But the lack of downforce for Dino, I mean, look, 8 seconds already as he pits.
Yeah, and he's held all of them cars up now.
Old Dad's leads by just over a second, just keeping Xerxes out of that DRS detection. James, Daisy in the 3rd, again, 1.5 seconds back from Xerxes, so again, DRS isn't going to have an effect, and then we've got the huge gap already back to the battle for 4th for Maxi, Blundersands and a letdown estate. They're all in close quarters and all have DRS on each other with the current gaps as they are.
Yeah, that's the nature of the Hungary ring. Dino struggling with the downforce, with the damage to his front wing. They just held these guys up to create this massive deficit between 3rd and 4th.
Silver Slugger has been a good benefit with the action that happened at the start there, up to 7th from his 11th grid slot.
Yeah.
Done a decent start. Already a little bit on his own there, but it's been a great start for him. There's my controller's about to die, so where's my charger?
Well, we have Old Dads completing another lap leading this race, but Xerxes only 5/10 behind will have DRS assistance to try and chase him down this start-finish straight down into turn 1, but no move made as of yet. Still too far behind. But that's another beauty of this track. You need downforce to handle the flow, but that will hinder you down this start-finish straight. But DRS should negate that high downforce if you were carrying it. But
yep, definitely, but say turn 1's really the only overtaking slot. The DRS zone to turn 2 is not really going to be of any benefit. Straight's not long enough for that DRS to really have any effect. Xerxes just got to be patient now through this section, try and stay close, and then have a go again in turn 1.
Yeah, stay close, put some pressure on, try wait for a mistake, or just outdo them on strategy with the pits.
Starting the gap, James in 3rd. That's one. That might be one reason why Xerxes all of a sudden on the back of Old Dads. He hasn't got the McLaren behind him to worry about.
Yeah,
it's allowing him just to focus in front. Does he get a good run through the final corner? No, it looks like Old Dads gets the better run out of the corner, and 6/10 has been too far back.
Yeah, it just doesn't quite have the straight line speed, even with DRS. to really bring the challenge at that part of the track.
Yeah, it's definitely looking like either Old Dad's is using a bit more battery or fuel mix to down the pit straight to keep him ahead, or yeah, Xerxes is just running that much more downforce that it's meaning his benefit of DRS is just not going to actually be of any benefit at all due to the additional downforce he has.
And I'm just looking now at Blood and Sand and Let Down Estate. I don't know if there was an overtake that I've just missed, but the pair of them are quite close as Blood and Sand picks up the first 3-second penalty of the race. There
was an overtake there. Blood and Sands was ahead of a Let Down Estate a lap ago. So yeah, Let Down Estate's made a move somewhere. I think Silver Slugger spun at turn 4.
He looks like he's carrying his end plates.
Not carrying the corner.
No.
But yeah, looks like he probably, probably just touched the curb on the inside of turn 4. So easily done there, and then take that just sells the car.
Just trying to see then on board with Xerxes if he was any closer to the back of Old Dad's, but he just kind of lost some traction coming out of the final corner, which just dropped him back too far to be able to challenge this lap again.
Yeah, Old Dad's did start to defend there, but then realised that there wasn't a need to, and he went back to the racing line quite quickly, having started to make a defensive manoeuvre. As a Let Down Estate is now on the back of Maxi, having disposed of Blood and Sands only a lap or two ago. Now looking for P4. Yeah, both Red Bulls on the move.
Great race from a Let Down Estate so far, gained 5 positions.
He's been quite aggressive in these early laps. He's used a lot of his battery already. Probably to make those moves on Blood and Sands and to make those 5 positions off the start. Again, just got to be patient through the middle sector. Try and stay close. And hopefully that gives you a run down into turn 1.
Yeah, both Red Bulls bringing a strong race. Xerxes was only 2/10 off Old Dad's then. Better exit out of the final corner. Closer this time to Old Dad's. Is he close enough to make a room? Old Dad's is certainly trying to fight him off on the slipstream.
Not quite close enough to make a lunge.
No, but a great exit out of turn 1 means that Xerxes could possibly have a dive around the outside on turn 2, but a lock up. Is that
Let Down Estate down the inside and Maxi further back into turn 1. Bit of wheel-to-wheel contact. They're side by side on the run down the 2. Let Down Estate on the outside. Does he hang it? He does. Out brakes later, hangs it around the outside, and he's through up the P4.
Great racing from the Red Bull drivers.
Now there's an 8-second gap from a Let Down Estate to James. Let's see if anything happens with that in the next few laps.
Yeah, now that a Let Down Estate has got some clean air. But now 6 positions gained. We seem to... we kind of missed, the last time it was you and I on commentary, we missed all the action that a Let Down Estate brought in the race that we was commenting on.
Yeah, he had a little cheeky comment a few races ago, didn't he?
He did.
We promised to make it up this time round, if we can.
And then I missed the overtake on Blood and Sand, but we got the Maxi one.
James Laws has spun at turn 4 and nearly took Dino with him. Again, touching the curb on the inside, it looked like there. James Laws now at the back. Again, that rear end is not looking stable for him. It's wanted to step out on him, like we saw in qualifying.
Yeah, I missed that one on my stream, but Xerxes was very close to Old Dad's, but not close enough to bring a challenge.
Yeah, he's just not getting close enough out of the final corner to give him a chance to have a look up the inside in turn 1. Now, I don't know if that's just Old Dad's playing it very well to get the run out of the final corner, or if it's just purely the fact he's running less downforce, and his top speed is just helping him defend. But Xerxes just isn't able to get close enough to look up the inside, but he's easily able to stick with him.
Yeah.
It's really frustrating here for Xerxes at the moment. He would be, I suspect, running away if he was out in front.
They're both carrying similar amount of battery as well, so I think either their setup's pretty similar or strategy on.
I think they've got a similar. Yeah, I think they've got a similar idea with their battery usage. Xerxes wanted to use it to overtake, but old Dad's reciprocates by using it to defend. He's a lot closer this time though.
His slipstream and DRS.
Can he get the cutback? Can he get the run? Oh, he's going to hit the back of him.
That's not what he wanted. I think he dropped back a little bit there just to make sure that old Dad's was okay. And
did he knock his wing?
He's not lost an end plate. He might have picked up a little bit of damage, but he's still carrying all of what he had that I can see.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye out on that. But yeah, again, as I was just saying it was looking to get the run out of one to give him the DRS slingshot down towards turn 2. Unfortunately, just nearly ran into the back of him with that additional traction he has.
Ooh. Blood and sand coming out of the pits. Unfortunately, just missed out on getting out in front of Sega and Dino. But he looked like he was struggling for traction, and it's looking a bit cloudy.
It is.
But is that a bit early, 9 laps on the soft tyres?
Quite possibly. Again, it will kind of depend on how many laps he did on them in qualifying, having started on the set he qualified with.
Yeah.
Don't think he had any damage to repair, so he had been overtaken by a letdown state, so he could have been just struggling with the grip on him and just sort of changed his worth taken.
Well, Maxi now in the pits, so maybe
that's
this
a reaction.
Would make or break. Yeah,
that's a reaction, I think, to Blood and Sands. Maybe also the fact that rain might be coming a bit earlier than we think. So
I've just missed. Wait, Xerxes got the lead then.
I don't know what happened there, or if that's a little glitch with the timing screen again.
No, but on the multi-map he was, on the mini-map he was also ahead.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Yeah.
He didn't look close enough as soon as when I flicked onto Xerxes. He was about the same gap he's been for the last, since the start pretty much.
It almost looked like whatever had happened, Xerxes handed the position back to old Dad's, so I'm not sure what happened there.
If there was any contact or anything there, was some nice fair driving from these two.
But Slugger in Slugger in 6th place. Maxi coming out in the pits just behind him. And Maxi really wanting to get by, and he does get by. Slugger really struggling. But let's go to Xerxes this time as he's looking again on the outside of turn 1. So I don't think he did get damage from that earlier contact.
No. This is the best opportunity he's got. Can he hang it around the outside of turn 2? Gonna be tight. No, he's gonna run out of room. Oh. Old Dad's makes it to turn 3 first and gains his position out front.
Great racing between these two, and hats off to Xerxes for his track limits at the minute, because he looked like he did struggle to get a qualifying lap time in.
I think Blood and Sands may actually have had damage in his stop, because look how far behind he is from Maxi. They were right with each other before the pit stops. Yeah. About 5-6 seconds gap there, so maybe Blood and Sands did have damage.
I think it's hurt him as well coming out behind Dino and Sega, because he literally was neck and neck with them, and I think he backed off to make sure that they didn't go 3 wide into turn 1.
Right, okay.
Which is then putting a couple laps behind them 2 cars. But yeah, like you say, the big gap now between him and Maxi compared to before the stop.
So again, about 3/10 back. He's not going to be close enough into turn 1. Oh, actually, saying that, he's lunging it.
Wow. He has got Daniel Ricciardo's brake pedal in that Red Bull, and he's still up on the inside coming down into turn 2.
Old Daz is going to go around the outside. He's got the high line for free. He's back in front.
Incredible racing.
Absolutely great racing there. Xerxes, you caught me off guard there. Just saying you were not close enough to have a look, and you lunged it.
I think he caught himself off guard, but a quick flick to Sega as he rides past Slugger, but Slugger straight back up on the inside, and I'm not really sure what's going on there with these camera views, but Slugger struggling as Sega does take the position from him.
Yeah, the gap between a letdown estate and James hasn't moved since a letdown estate got himself in the 4th. It's stayed the same, so yeah, the letdown estate just having a good stint, just holding on into P4, hoping for any action up ahead. Xerxes is a bit further back this time. He's not going to be able to. Even Daniel Ricciardo wouldn't look at that, I don't think.
No. Ooh, it's too far back.
Yeah, too far back. I did stick with him just to make sure, but no, that was definitely too far back that time.
But the Haas boys are battling it out, as the Haas boys typically do, and Blood and Sand up on the inside of Slugger and takes the position.
Oh, what's happened?
CHM.
Oh, CHM's coming in the pits.
Yeah.
I think the game being a bit eager to show the yellow flags there.
We've got some cars close to each other at the back here, fighting for now to be 8th. As Prev moves up on the inside past Dino, now looking to take Slugger, and the rain is falling as Prev is on the inside, takes 2 down that start finishing straight.
That was insane speed Prev had. Both him and Dino had DRS, but he made it look like as if Dino didn't have any DRS activated. That was insane speed Prev had down that pit straight. Just flew past them as if they weren't there.
It is. Incredible straight line speed, but maybe that's where he's hurt around the rest of this track without that downforce. But now as the rain begins to fall, this will change the dynamic of this race, as we've got a yellow flag and Silver Slugger is spinning round on turn 4.
Xerxes alongside old Dads again going into turn 1. Looking round the outside of turn 1 this time to try and give him the inside. These camera angles are terrible, but Xerxes made it stick this time.
Yeah, great traction out of turn 1, which is putting well ahead in going into turn 2.
And with the track getting a little bit slipperier, that extra downforce that I am assuming Xerxes does seem to have will be of even more benefit now. And he'll do as he runs wide.
As the pair of them picked up.
Old Dads as well. Both of them running wide at turn 4. Xerxes a bit more extreme than old Dads, but both of them picking up that 3-second time penalty.
Now this might have been critical. Xerxes getting the position before the rain fell, because now it will be even harder to try and gain these positions.
Yeah, and this track where it's fine margins on dries, the rain's just going to make it even more tricky for these guys now, and we'll have to wait and see what that brings us.
Yeah, did anybody bring a hybrid setup where they could manage the dry and the wet conditions, or is everybody running dry conditions?
One thing I will say is James in 3rd has taken nearly a second out of these two while they've been battling this lap.
Yeah, but that might be more James than them two, though, because he's also gained a second or 2 on a letdown estate. That 8-second gap is now nearly 10.
It was just about to say, is maybe James running that slight hybrid setup, and is now his car starting to come alive with the track conditions.
Yeah. Though we still have DRS enabled, it's still classified as a dry track, and we have a yellow flag.
Prev?
I think it was.
Yeah, Prev is at a spin coming out of 13. Again, just showing how slippery it is.
Ooh, and James Laws.
Yeah.
Very lively on that last corner. Prev missing his left end plate. I don't know if that was before or after the spin. Obviously, we have had 1 or 2 little incidents in this race already.
DHM has passed Silver Slugger at the back. Into turn 1.
Silver Slugger did have a great start to the race, but slowly he's dropped down now and he's in final position. but still plenty to race for. As we said, points do go all the way down the table now. So, but we have James Laws going round the outside of Prev in these wet conditions. That damage to Prev's wing is really hurting him.
Yes, and also Prev on the medium as well. Probably not the most ideal tyre to be on when the track's getting this slippery. The soft tyre would be. Oh, Xerxes spun.
Oh no! Xerxes has spun
come out
and he's got wing damage. So let's hope that he can get into the pits. This is really looking difficult for these drivers now, but that puts Old Dad's clearly in the lead, but James is trying to close that gap.
Yeah, James is that silver slugger. And oh no, it's Prev again. Prev's had another half spin at the back of the field, but James is coming at Old Dad's.
Blood is in the pits.
Old Dad's is off! And James is in the lead as DRS is disabled.
So
now the time for inters.
Blood and Sand calling it perfectly. He was in the pit lane as DRS was disabled. So that might be key to his success here in Hungary.
Now due to that spin from Xerxes, a letdown estate might have to queue in the pit lane because then that might not help him there. No. There's only a couple of seconds gap, and as we've seen with Codemasters, they don't seem to do the stack pit stop that well.
No,
as these guys wiggled into the pit lane entrance. But
you say stack pit stop, Xerxes is going to have the wing anyway, so it's going to hurt him even more.
Yeah, and they both at a point, yeah, Xerxes got to replace his wing, so yeah, this is going to be a long wait for a letdown estate, I'm afraid.
He might lose the position to Maxi, but 11 seconds, Maxi was behind. Should be safe from Sega. But Blood and Sand gained the position already from CHM, who did carry on. When Blood and Sand came in, CHM, DRS was disabled, but he carried on anyway.
I think Old Dad's knocked his wing when he went off because James has got 10 seconds all of a sudden. Yeah, I think Old Dad's had to replace his wing as well.
We've got Silver Slugger with no front wing. Yeah. That's to pick up Silver Slugger's front wing in Sector 1, or just into Sector 2, sorry.
Everyone now... Oh, CHM... Yes, he has. I was just saying, he thought he was coming back out on slicks there for a moment, but he's not. So that's everyone now on the inter tyres.
Hopefully no drive-throughs from this VSC. That would not be a favour to anybody, but a few close cars there. Blood and Sand, Sega, Dino.
Yeah, Blood and Sand tried to get the power down to maybe catch Sega out as it went back to green, but the rear went no chance. I can't do that for you. Good battle here for 6, 7, 8.
Yeah. But I've got to carry what you said earlier. You know, James was riding in third for a long time, but stuck with it. And a mistake from Xerxes and Old Dad's has now put him first place and 10 seconds clear.
And he's also without a penalty where the guys behind him have one.
Yes.
So yeah, it's all fallen into line for James in this current part of the race.
It has. And we got 5 drivers without penalty.
Yeah, let down the state did lose out the Maxi as well. Like
he did.
Some time.
Yeah.
That really was a shame. Hopefully he can look to come back at Maxi. 6.5 seconds to find though. Yeah, the 6 drivers that have all got a penalty are all on just the 1 3-second penalty at the moment. No one has repeated their offence yet.
And I must correct my mistake earlier. I said 5 drivers without a penalty. That's 6 drivers without a penalty.
Yes.
I assumed Silver Slugger had one and I just couldn't see it because he was in the pits. But no, he does not have a penalty. So apologies, Silver Slugger.
It's so treacherous. I'm on board with Xerxes at the moment, and he almost feels like he doesn't want to touch the throttle. It's so nervous. And this was a guy that we thought had quite a lot of downforce on.
Although sometimes in the wet, I'm not sure if downforce always helps as much as it does hinder. Because I think this game is the one where typically when it rains, I actually take front wing off. Because I feel like if I got too much downforce, it turns in too much and I spin.
Yeah, maybe. No, I totally see where you're coming from, and it's Codemasters physics.
Yes.
You know, you might be completely bang on there. No offense, Codemasters, but it's EA next game, so we'll see see what they can do with probably not the next game, but the game after. I think the next game won't be too different, to be honest. They won't have had enough time to put their own effects in.
Yes. Microtransactions, you mean?
Yes. But yeah, a little bit spread out at the moment. Those frantic laps where it started to rain has kind of spread them out a little bit.
Ooh, is that Silver? Silver's away again, managing to keep hold of his front wing this time, but he's a ghost car, getting lapped, and he's just now got James Laws coming up to him. But the other McLaren driver, the other James, still holding the lead very well. The time slowly coming down from old Dad's behind, but still 9.5 seconds away.
Yeah, quite evenly spread out the top 4, all 9 seconds behind the car in front. The nearest battle is Dino on Blood and Sand. Oh no, Prev on CHM at the moment at 1.2. Actually the closest battle on track right now. Yeah, these guys are really taking it easy now.
Yeah.
Not wanting to light the rears up.
I'm just watching James Laws because he's got blue flag on Silver Slugger. Silver's not really moving out of the way, but I'm not sure how much he knows of the blue flag rule, but James Laws handling it pretty well, considering we thought in the dry he didn't seem to handle it that well, but he's definitely struggling.
Yes. Trevor got up on the curb on the exit of turn 1 as he tried to get a run on CHM, and it actually lost him time.
Yeah, judging from his earlier performance, I thought Prev was going to make light work of passing CHM.
Where's the Blood and Sands? Gets a second penalty.
Yeah. Old Dad's took another second out of James there.
Oh, yes, he did. The Old Dad's starting to feel a bit more comfortable in these conditions, or did James make a mistake? As Old Dad runs wide through turn 3.
But James still leading this race with no penalties. So much improvement on his performance last year, where he picked up quite a few penalties, but Prev running deep there, coming into the final few corners in his battle with CHM. And let down Estate picks up his first penalty.
CHM rocketed out the final corner compared to Prev. Prev had no chance to look up the inside there.
Yep.
not only have they now got to be patient and follow the car in front of them through this middle sector, they've now got to contend with whatever amounts of spray the game wants to produce for them as well, just to make it even more difficult to follow. Just blind the driver, why don't they?
Although there are sometimes when you see the amount of spray and the difficulty in these conditions, like the Turkish Grand Prix in the real F1, the spray from that was unreal. It's just, you couldn't see.
No.
And the reactions of these guys under these conditions as well, to where you just want to normally slam on your brakes or just quickly change direction, and you just can't do that in these conditions.
No. No, that's why you tend to edge on the more side of caution when it comes to the rain, because you have that less capability to react, because the grip just isn't there to allow you to slam on the brakes or sharply turn left or right to avoid a collision, because you'll just spin.
Yeah.
So,
where you see a window of opportunity where you see the driver in front make a mistake and go, oh, I'm in there. You've got to have the discipline to get in there softly.
Yes. Sega, he's right on the back of a letdown estate. That gap's come down. He's now looking to get himself up to P5, having started at the back of the grid.
Yeah, these conditions not favouring a letdown estate, as he first of all had to wait in the pits for Xerxes to then be lapped in the pits by Maxi. He's dropped time to Maxi now. To the case where, as you say, Sega's on his tail.
Yeah, let's just say a bit further up, Old Dad's is starting to eat in on that gap again to James up front. But yeah, Sega not getting the run out the final corner to let him have a look. And this track is difficult enough to overtake with DRS into turn 1. Without DRS, sometimes you can almost forget about overtaking.
Yeah.
You're not going to get close enough without that DRS detection point.
Even if you're close enough to have a look, you've got to pick your braking point in these conditions very carefully.
Yeah.
Because one of you will be on the dry line and one of you probably won't be.
Yeah, I mean, there is an element of, there is runoff, the exit of turn 1, so it does allow you to try and be a little bit ambitious if you want to go for it. You're not likely to end up in the wall at turn 1 unless you go so deep. But it does... Oh, someone is that Silver Slugger again.
Yeah, I just by default go to Slugger, sorry.
Another VSC.
Yeah, to pick up that front wing again.
Now, how many laps have these guys... They've only been on these tyres 5-6 laps. I was thinking if they'd been a little bit longer, they might have pitted for fresh inters, done these guys, but they've only been on them 5 laps. It's not real a lot of need at the moment.
Well, I'm wondering if it's just the VSC playing with the deltas, but I was going to mention, you talked about Old Dad's time closing in on James, but Xerxes was also maintaining his gap to Old Dad's, so Old Dad's is closing in on James, but Xerxes also closing his gap to James.
Yes.
But the delta's been messed about slightly because of the VSC.
Yeah, you have to wait for the VSC to end before it's... Oh, CHM is... Oh, and James at front! James up front as well.
No.
Got to drive through. And Blood and Sands.
Oh, these VSCs are not very forgiving at all. I've seen Xerxes going pretty wide, and again, under safety car conditions, if you exceed the track, it punishes you harsh. So is that Blood and Sand in now? No. Oh, that's Silver getting his...
Silver Slugger getting his wing replacement. James did not pit at the end of that lap, but he's got to pit in the next couple of laps to serve that drive-through. Oh.
So top 3 drivers of this race: Xerxes spinning getting wing damage. Old Dad's also spinning, not getting as much damage. And James, looking like he was carrying a perfect race, suffers a drive-through from that virtual safety car.
Gap has come down as well, though.
Yeah.
Come down quite quickly, actually. I wonder if James was literally on the brakes trying to get his delta back up when it went green.
Yeah.
Didn't quite get the delta in line, and therefore lost a lot of time as well, because he was audacious at Silver Slugger again. Same place, turn 4, sorry.
And it's a left end plate, so
Ooh.
and it might be even more.
Tell you what, the marshals at turn 4 won't be very grateful, will they? Can't see having to go pickups. And...
I don't know, they got loads of gifts to give to the family.
So, just trying to work out for a drive-through how much he should, I think, still come out in front of Xerxes, I would have thought.
Well, CHM is in now, and he was pretty much neck and neck with Prev. So this will be a very clear indication as to what time is going to be left.
About 15 sec. Oh, it's going to be tight, actually. He might be right.
It's looking more 17, I think. If not more.
Here comes Xerxes. They're going to be side by side. Xerxes just going to get in front. Yeah. 16, 17 seconds. Oh, that...
But at least it's livened up this race, so now these two race lead contenders can show us what they're made of together on track, rather than it just being a delta battle.
Yeah, also James now obviously back to not having any time penalties being put against him, so not having any 3 seconds actually has him ahead of Xerxes at the moment.
Yes.
So that could still come back in his favour, especially if Xerxes and Old Dad start racking them up as the race goes on.
Yeah, still 9 seconds between Xerxes and Old Dad's, but will this pressure from James behind help or hinder Xerxes with that delta to Old Dad's?
Well, for as long as James is on the back of Xerxes, you would expect it to hinder Xerxes because he'll be too busy defending and looking behind him.
Yes, but then sometimes you bring your A game when you know you've got someone in your position.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out. James looking to get the run out the final corner, but again with no DRS.
He did get great traction.
It's going to be tricky to make the move though with no DRS. Xerxes just doing enough to stay out in front that time round. Blood Sands hits for his drive-through now.
Similar story to Sega. No DRS, meaning no real opportunity for an overtake.
Yeah, it's just the one thing with the wet is it does allow the opportunity for more, shall we say, the extravagant manoeuvres, overtaking opportunities to occur. So the limitations of just sort of turn 1 being the main place to overtake when it's dry, in these conditions, you can find that people will try anything.
Well,
if they get the run.
As we was talking about earlier, you really need the confidence to, as Sega picks up a penalty, you really need the confidence to get every bit out of this track, but the care you have to take to not exceed the track limits. So if you're taking that extra caution, like you said, the opportunist behind might see an overtake round the outside.
Again, a letdown estate, just doing enough in the final two corners. Sega did look close enough going into from sort of turn 12.
He did before, yeah, but it's sort of dropped off now.
Those final two corners, the letdown estate did a very good job to maintain the gap and prevent Sega from being in position to take a look. James Laws is on the back of Blood and Sand, is a bit further back for P8.
He was closer coming into the final sector, but just sort of dropped it a little bit. I'm wondering if it's the how loose his setup is, just trying to handle that McLaren.
Yeah. It definitely, I'd say, just having a look, it definitely looks nervous. That rear end still.
But who's that? CHM is being lapped from Xerxes, but he's not really getting out of the way.
No.
But with ghosting on, it doesn't cause as many issues, but
it's still the distraction
very
element,
off-putting,
isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of would still expect them to. As it gets out of the way for James.
Yeah.
Yeah, the gap is sort of staying around the 1.5 second mark. Xerxes and James. Old Dad says it eats a bit more time further ahead up front.
I'm wondering on what the weather's going to be doing.
Yeah, so it's quite hard to. I mean, we were told it was going to be wet, sort of more towards 3/4 into the race. We're not even half distance yet. And it's been raining for 11, 12 laps.
Yeah.
Well, they've been on inters 11, 12 laps. It started raining about 15 laps ago. It doesn't look any brighter, does it?
No. No, I'm wondering if this is to stay now.
Yeah, I'm starting to think if... Well, it's definitely looking like it's here for the foreseeable. Who's that? Slugger again. Ooh. He's waited till turn 5 this time. Just to vary it up a little bit, but that's another wing that would have been knocked on the wall there.
He does still have his end plates. Yeah, he did use the wall to straighten up.
Timed that well then, you used the wheel rather than the wing to turn him round. James has dropped off the back of Xerxes all of a sudden. That was 1.5 seconds, so it's now 3.5. Don't know if that was a mistake, whether he's starting to struggle. And Sega just can't seem to get below half a second.
No.
I'll let down the state in front of him. There's more yellows. I didn't even see where that was on the map, to be honest.
It was where Slugger is, but he seems to be doing pretty alright, so I'm not sure what that was about. But yeah, Slugger struggling to get past a letdown estate, and I think a letdown estate is dropping, losing a little bit more time to Maxi. These conditions are not favouring the Red Bull driver.
The closest Sega's been, managed to get it below half a second just then. Unfortunately, just at the part of the... Hey, easy. Again, just at the part of the track where you can't really make a manoeuvre.
No.
You've just got to try and keep it tidy and smooth. To get the traction out of these two corners to get the run into turn 1.
Yeah, you need the rest of the lap just to set up for this traction out of that corner.
It looks like I let down the state's got the better traction at the moment.
Yeah.
Because, Sega loses time coming out those final two corners.
Yeah, and we know a letdown estate is king at looking after his tyres, so maybe his traction is on point. It certainly has been to defend from Sega being within a second of him for the last several laps. Blood and Sand's in the pits. Blood and Sand has come for a fresh set of inters.
13 laps on a set of inters doesn't sound a lot.
No.
But all of a sudden as well, with the introduction of this rain, we're now down to 3 drivers who haven't got a penalty.
Yes.
James in 3rd, and then Prev and CHM in 10th and 11th. And Sega's dropped back this lap over a second. Maybe he's just, I don't know, looking after the tyres a little bit. Give him a bit of a breather and then go again. He's just not. I let down the state actually pulls away on the straight. I don't know if that's just down the battery usage or what, but yeah, let down the state actually is quicker on the straight at the moment.
Well, that might be the answer. You know, Sega might have more downforce, so we can certainly bring it close to him around the rest of the track, but a letdown estate knows that the exit out of turn 14 is critical. And it doesn't really matter about the rest of the lap, because as you say, you can't really get an overtake in these conditions around the rest of the track without absolutely humongous cojones.
Yeah, one thing I have noticed is it does look like, from the, to be fair, the terrible camera angles we're getting on this track today, is that a letdown estate is almost taking a wider entry into the final 2 corners, but that squares the corner off to let him straighten up on the exit a lot earlier, and that I think is what's allowing him to get that traction advantage over Sega, just by the fact he's getting the tyre gripping out of the corner a lot sooner, just by, especially out the final corner. His last couple laps he has gone out a lot wider, taking a much wider line. He doesn't do it this time.
No, and Sega is so much closer this time.
I think Sega is actually taking a look at that from the last couple of laps. Sega is closer.
But no, straight line speed, Sega was losing time.
Yeah. Oh, he's on the curb on the exit. You don't want to be out there in the wet.
No.
Xerxes starting to eat into Old Dad's Rules lead, down to 9.2. Was 10 seconds not too long ago.
Yep.
And he has gaps, James. I don't know if James is just starting to struggle, but that gap is, with Xerxes not having to worry about the McLaren behind him now, it's allowing him to focus on Old Dad's, and that gap is coming back down.
It's a strange race. These top 3 remain in the top 3 still.
Oh, Silver Slugger's left.
But yeah, very strange race with wing damage coming off and drive-throughs. It's really made me not sure who's actually going to be standing on the top step. I can put my money on who would be on the 3 steps, but in which order, I'm not yet sure.
Do you want the good news on that? We're not even half distance yet.
Yeah.
Just about to come up to half distance lap, and we're already trying to predict the top 3.
Yes. Well, I'm just now trying to. My mind's wandering really, because all I can see is Sega on this start-finish straight again, behind the Red Bull of a letdown estate, unable to really do much other than follow in his slipstream.
Yeah, this will be so frustrating for Sega. Because, I think if he was able to get out in front, he'll be able to do enough in the middle sector to pull away enough from a letdown estate to be able to get round back to turn 1, still ahead of a letdown estate. So this is... He's going to have to do what we were talking about and look for the more unorthodox move, I think, if he can get in a position to do so. Because the traditional positions of turn 1, turn 2 are not proving possible for him at the moment with the lack of straight line speed he seems to have.
Yeah, it doesn't look like this wet weather is going anywhere, so it's going to be like this for a short while. But James in the McLaren doesn't look to be favouring these conditions, as he's just slowly losing time to Xerxes. Xerxes back to about 9.5 seconds from old dad's.
Yeah, that gap is just going up and down between 9 and 10 seconds at the moment. So Maxi having a steady race in 4th.
Yes.
Keeping himself out of trouble and has got himself into quite a comfortable position there in 4th. He's not got anyone around him whatsoever, which is ideal. Just let him to count down the laps, go, navigate without having to worry about who's around him, and see if he is able to do anything like the cars in front. But good showing for Maxi at the moment in P4.
Yeah, it would have been really interesting to see how, if a letdown estate did get out the pits in front of him, as how that would have affected the race. Because he's now 15 seconds clear of a letdown estate, where a letdown estate being held up by his teammate in the garage allowed Maxi to get that position from him.
Yeah, letdown estate lost about 10-12 seconds in that pit stop sequence, having to queue and then wait for Red Bull to figure out what tyres to give him, and it worked out about 12 seconds he lost overall.
It is unbelievably poor at this game, I've got to be honest, to not be able to do a stacked pit stop as per real F1.
Yeah, it can't. I mean, it depends on the coding. I can't imagine it'd be too tricky to work that one out. Just to be able to.
The thing is, even if it was a case of, you can say to Jeff, I want to box this lap on your radio. So even if it's a case of if you didn't do that, then they stumble and go, oh God, and they cost you 4 seconds.
Yeah.
But if you go on the radio and say, Jeff, I'm coming in, and the other car's in, then surely it should be able to just, I don't know.
Yeah, the way this game is coded is it tells you not to pit, doesn't it? If your teammate is in or navigating the pit lane itself, it'll just say you can't service you right now. So it's almost as if they've just set it up the easy way.
Yeah.
Almost.
But let's not complicate it. We're just not going to allow you the option.
Yeah, one car at a time. That's all you're allowed to have.
Or Blood and Sand picking up his 3rd penalty, just as I was looking at the fact that now we have 2 drivers who are penalty free, which is CHM and James.
Yeah, James continuing to lose time to Xerxes. But the gap to Maxi behind him is rather stable. So James doing a good job to be P3 and to still not have a track limits time penalty. Obviously he had to drive through the speeding under the VSC earlier on.
Yeah, which has cost him quite dearly, to be fair, because he was leading the race before that, wasn't he?
He was, and by that 8 seconds or so, at the point of when he was awarded that penalty, teammate James Lawes pits.
Yeah, and he picks up a 5-second speeding in the pits penalty, as he does.
Ugh.
I'm still confused as to why Blood and Sand pit earlier, because he didn't change his wing. So whether it was because he wanted a new wing and he just didn't change it.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not too sure. Not too sure what was going on there, or whether he was just too aggressive on his first set of inters and just they weren't in the window to provide him grip. Don't know, but he'll have his reasons. We might better find out later on as to what happened there. But yeah, unfortunately, he's put him down in P8 and about 20 seconds off the car in front. A Let Down the State's doing a great job of just defending Sega off.
He is.
It's just defending him off, but he's not actually having to defend. He's not having to navigate off the racing line at all. He's just driving around doing his own thing.
Yeah. And Sega just can't find a way past.
No. Just not got the straight line speed at the crucial points, and A Let Down the State is just not making the mistakes to allow Sega to think about trying to maneuver elsewhere around the lap. They have got traffic coming up. I think that's CHM they're coming up to, so hopefully that won't affect this battle when they arrive on the back of that Mercedes to lap in probably in a lap or two's time. Sega's car does look a little bit more twitchy. I don't know if that's just where he's trying to almost force the matter a little bit to try and help himself get past.
Well, that's it. He knows that he's strong round Sector 2. And he's closer. Not as close as he has been, but he is closer in this final sector now. But the straight line speed of that Red Bull just can't be beat by this Williams.
It almost sounds like I went on board with Sega that time. It almost sounds like it's the traction control going into overdrive. And it's just not allowing him to put the actual power down to prevent the wheels from spinning. Traction control really did sound like it was kicking in a lot coming out of the final corner. Just heard the sort of stuttering of the engine note.
Yeah. Oh no, Prev.
Oh, Prev's. He's gone at another VSC
car, and Maxi is coming up to him now. What? How has that happened? He's left, right, and he's probably.
I suspect he's run wide coming out of 9, and it's unsettled the car, and he's ended up at the barrier around turn 10. I think he's run wide on the exit of 9. And it sort of ends on him. That's the only explanation I can give for ending up in that position. Now let's hope there's no more
drive-throughs. That's not what we want, is it?
No. Don't want it to affect the race any more than it has already.
We're back underway. Sega very close to the Let Down Estate this time. Benefited from that VSC, and a Let Down Estate's come deep, and Sega's having a look on the inside round the final corner. They're neck and neck, but the straight line speed of a Let Down Estate is surely going to come to win this battle here as we come down to turn 1. And the Red Bull, as per every other lap so far in this battle, wins out.
Yeah, that just shows the difference there. I mean, Sega, not only was he alongside, but he was using overtake, and he was losing grounds.
Yeah.
So that just shows that the level of downforce these two have got are so vastly different that a Let Down Estate can just drive past him on a straight line. That's quite surprising how different that was. How much of a difference there were. That
was a window of opportunity for Sega, but it just was denied by that straight line speed. It's just phenomenal. And that was the only bit of excitement that we've had for a short while.
I've actually got my feet up at the moment. Just trying to, yeah, Sega and the Letdown Estate, well, the Letdown Estate in particular, don't be surprised with the amount of coverage you're getting this evening. You two are getting a lot of coverage at the moment. Again, Sega is a lot closer coming out the final two corners, but just can't do anything about him.
No.
If you go on board with Sega, you can really hear the TC kicking in, and it almost as if it is hindering him because it's kicking in for such quite a considerable period of time coming out of the final two corners.
Yeah.
That it's almost as if it's actually hindering him.
But when you watch him, it doesn't look like he's got traction control on, because he's suffering with traction.
Yeah, the rear it's quite bizarre, but you can just tell from the engine note that there's at least some form of traction, whether it's medium or full. That we can't tell, but you can hear it that it's kicking in, and it just from the observation from spectator mode, it just seems like it's hindering him with exit speed.
Yeah.
Blood and Sands has gone.
Blood
Turn
and Sands
4,
has gone.
turn 5.
And Sega just immediately dove into the pit zone.
Another VSC. That's quite clever there from Sega.
It was.
Maybe
I think he
maybe
read
hoping
that.
maybe hoping for the fourth SC, but the thing is now, Letdown Estate's going to have to think about pitting soon for more inters, and he should lose out track position when he pits because Sega's not going to obviously lose much time.
Yeah, doing it under VSC. CHM in also. And that's really
Shame for
unfortunate for Blood and Sand. He's had some really good races recently. So hopefully no drive-throughs again. James, unless this is the Delta drive-through for CHM.
CHM. And he's just pitted as well.
He does.
So
Yeah.
he's just come out of the pit lane, and unfortunately couldn't get that Delta under control.
So this will be the interesting one to see now. Sega obviously reacting very quickly to that incident, getting into the pits under the VSC. He's 16 seconds behind a Letdown Estate, but a Letdown Estate hasn't pitted. Everybody on ahead is on 25-24 lap old tyres. Maxi in the pits now. So a Letdown Estate, what is he going to do? Because Maxi in front is pitting.
We saw earlier with the guys with the drive-throughs, it was about 16 seconds to do a drive-through. So with Sega already being 15 seconds behind, having done his extra pit stop with a Letdown Estate now in the pits, Sega should be a good few seconds up the road once the Letdown Estate comes out of the pit lane.
Yeah. And this is where we can study the Delta, because Sega will now be in front of a Letdown Estate. So him having clear air, is Sega actually faster than a Letdown Estate? We will find out.
Yeah, there you go. 6 seconds behind now, Sega is a Letdown Estate. That's the difference.
Yeah.
So it's about 22 seconds, 21 seconds for a pit stop in wet conditions.
Yes.
Xerxes he's nibbling into that lead, isn't he?
Yeah, he's trying.
Yeah, it's slowly coming down. But yeah, he needs to do a little bit more than that if he wants to catch him by the end of the race. Or is he, I don't know, is he maybe hoping to go a little bit longer on his tyres? That could be one element. With the Inters, it does open up the strategy in terms of how far you can take those tyres.
Yeah, this is where I wish we had an AWS tyre graphic for the spectator mode. Where it would
the graphic where I'm pretty certain they just pick a ball out the hat to decide at what percentage it shows.
Yes. Listening to how much Hamilton's moaning on the radio and just stick a finger in the air and go, yeah, they're about 90% worn, they must be.
Yeah, just tyres a shot, lap later, fastest lap. Yeah, alright then.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's Hamilton, isn't it? My seat's broken, fastest lap. These tyres are dead, man, fastest lap. I loved it in Monaco when it was just like, oh, these tyres are dead. These aren't going to make the last 30 laps. And then 30 laps later, he's still on the same tyres and gets fastest lap. And ridiculous.
Xerxes pits. About 9.5, 10 seconds when he pitted. See if he's able to close in on fresher inters. Will old dad's rule react and pit at the end of this lap? Oh, there's still 25 laps to go.
Yeah.
25 laps around this track in these conditions. Yeah, the drivers are going to be crying for this race to finish a lot quicker.
That and the viewers and us.
I mean, it's 20 to 10. It'll be my bedtime soon. It's yeah. I mean, this race in full dry conditions with very few or to no safety cars is normally about an hour and 40 in itself. Hour and a half, hour and 40. It's quite a long race because it's a short lap, but it's not a fast lap. When you think about it,
I've only ever seen it once, where I think the 2-hour limit actually came in, and I've been streaming for 1 hour and 38 minutes. So the race hasn't been near the 2.
Old Dads does react and pit.
Yes.
James has stayed out, so will he? Oh, this is going to
be tight.
Old Dads is just going to hold on, I think.
Yeah. And have fresh rubber.
Xerxes about 8 seconds back from Old Dad's 7.7, so it's helped him a little bit. Problem is, he's got James in the middle of him now.
Yeah.
Well, James pit soon. DHM again, not really wanting to get out of the way up ahead of these two, though.
Well, now we've also got James Laws, who's... Xerxes has just driven through.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not what you want, is it, when you're racing for podium positions? Well, you don't want it at any point, really, whether you're racing for a podium position or 1 point.
Exactly, yeah. The last thing you want is to be held up unnecessarily, but just imagine if ghosting wasn't on and James had caught a CHM in that section of the lap, he would have lost seconds. Quite easily in that scenario, trying to navigate a lap car in the one section of the lap where you just cannot overtake.
But it looks like Xerxes is closing the gap, I think. Now down to 6.4.
Yeah, 6.4 to James, but it's still about 8 seconds to Old Dad's.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So it's pretty status quo at the moment between the guys in first and third. You'd expect James will have to come in the pits soon. Done nearly 30 laps on those inters, and there's still 23 to go.
Yeah, he's gone the longest on these tyres.
fair play to him, and he's not really been dropped off, is he? In these opening laps on old dad's on his new set. So yeah, James making his inters work quite well.
Yeah, as you say, there doesn't seem to be an absolute massive benefit between fresh and old at the minute, although old dad's is pulling away, but not quite to what you think the difference between 29 laps on a set of tyres would be.
No, the 29-30 laps difference on slicks, you'll be at least 2 seconds off the pace, if not more, around the track like this. So James is doing a very, very good job to hang on as he is to the guys around him. So yeah, he's slowly losing time to old dads and slowly being caught by Xerxes behind. And Xerxes has just nibbled down that lead a bit more again, down to 7.7. Oops. Something happened there?
Yeah, Xerxes was... I was watching him, his throttle, and he just put a little bit too much throttle on coming out of turn 1. Just had a small wobble, but he managed to catch it and save it.
Well, explain why the gap's gone back up to nearly 8.5. 8 seconds, yeah.
I'm not sure about all the drivers, but I know that Xerxes does run minimal assists.
You notice with Xerxes as well, I mean, he's keeping it in a higher gear to reduce that wheel spin. Obviously, as you just said, he uses minimal to no assists, one of which would apparently be no traction control.
Yeah.
Because he's not going below 3rd gear at any corner just to minimise that wheel spin. It's quite a clever little way to drive it in the rain.
Yeah, it's what you've got to do when you've got no traction on, hasn't it? Oh, well, I mean,
yeah.
You drive no traction more than I do. I drive medium.
Yeah, and it's either just run it in a higher gear, or go down the gears to get the turn in, but then just shift up the gears really early on, just to use the torque of the engine more than than actually being in sort of the more optimum gear. I mean, that was sort of the tactic I was using when we had the rain at Austria, for example. Especially, trying to get the traction out of that awful turn 3 in the wet conditions. And it's a good way to drive in the wet. It looks after the tyres. It may not necessarily be the fastest way to drive, but it's not losing him any time, really. It's keeping him in touch. And yeah, it'll protect the rears. So it might benefit him later on.
Yeah. But as you say, he's doing that to try and maintain the traction and not lose the car, because him coming off track, he'll lose positions or possibly lose a wheel. So it's a bit like I'm running in a classic series at the minute, and the older cars, I'm struggling quite a bit with the traction, even on medium, because the cars are just unbelievably powerful.
Yes.
So sometimes I've even ran with full traction on, which I think has benefited me, because some of the others that have been running no traction have been having some DNFs because the car's so difficult to handle. Whereas although I am suffering, although I'm suffering with running full traction because I've got no speed coming out the corners, I can come out of every corner because I've got full traction on.
Yeah.
And I've survived the race. Like, I got 4th in the one race, but there was only 4 of us that finished. But I still got 4th. So like you say, Xerxes is running a higher gear, but he's now trying to guarantee his podium position, because there's 27 seconds between him and Maxi, so it's his podium to lose.
Yes.
And he's actually closing the gap now to James, and James on 32 lap old Inters probably needing to come in at some point soon.
Yeah, that's the one thing. James is going to want to be careful not to stick this out too long, so he ends up losing more and more time to Xerxes as a result, because James hasn't got that penalty, don't forget.
No.
So he's only really got to get within 3 seconds of Xerxes, it stands, to regain that second place. But the longer he sticks this out, the further back he'll be to have to regain that time, and 20 laps to go, he will be running out of time.
Well, unless he's hoping it dries up, I don't understand what he's trying to do, because mathematically it does not make sense for him to be on these tyres still.
No, and if he was to go to the end, that will be 52 laps, I think.
That's
he would have done on that set. So this, I mean, I didn't do the race. I didn't see what sort of tyre life the Inters and the Wets have, but I'm pretty certain the Inters don't have 52 laps of life in them.
No.
So yeah, I don't know what benefit there is for James to be out there at the moment, apart from just purely track position.
And 33 lap old Inters, if he then does pit soon and then only does 17 on another set, what's the benefit of still being on 33 lap old tyres?
Yeah, as I say, unless it is, I mean, but to be honest, even if it is set to dry up again later, you're still, I mean, it's still raining at the moment, so you'll still be having to do another 10 laps at least before it's even in a position to look for dries later on. But it doesn't even look like it's going to dry up at all.
No, I don't think it's going to dry up. So I'm just beginning to question his method, because he's actually losing time now.
I can only imagine his track's position.
Yeah.
Maybe he thinks he can defend him down the pit straight into turns 1 and then down to turn 2, and then no, as long as he keeps it on the racing line, let down the stake is another penalty. As if he could just keep it on the racing line, Xerxes will find it really difficult to get past.
This is what I mean. I wish I could see his wear. I'd love to know what the wear is on them tyres, and if he is actually thinking of taking them to the end.
Yeah, he'll be a brave man if he was. But it's allowing old dads to get away. Xerxes now 9.6, 9.7 behind, so he's dropping time again. Old dads is using the newer tyres to build up that gap. So that he can just sort of take it easier towards the end of the race. Just look. Is the ring getting lighter? I can't tell. It does look lighter, actually. But
it does look lighter.
But
as to whether it's actually going to stop and go dry,
yeah,
is another extreme.
Yeah, this is the only battle on track at the moment. But yeah, I'm like you. I'm trying to figure out what James's real goal is here, apart from just purely just staying in seconds.
Yeah,
just holding it out and just seeing what he can do on those older tyres. And then maybe if he does get overtaken, he'll then just box and put the fresh tyres on just to consolidate third place.
Yeah, because he does have time and penalties to help him maintain that third place.
Because they're navigating turns 10 and 11 now, and then Maxi, who's P4, is at turn 4.
Yeah.
So he's got plenty of time, as you say, to hit and come back out in P3, no problem at all.
But maybe he's just trying to hold up Xerxes. Maybe that's part of his plan.
I don't know what benefit you'll get just to hold him up. I say it's more just holding on to P2, just see if he can hold this out. but the additional traction and the additional grip Xerxes will have. I mean, James is going defensive now, and he just won't have the tyre grip or tread to really maintain this at a consistent rate. I mean, he's holding on at the moment, but it's only a matter of time, surely.
Maybe it's a really clever plan, because they are losing a lot of time now to old dads.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just mentioning, yeah, the gap was about 9.5 from Xerxes to old dads about 2 laps ago. It's now nearly, well, it's just over 12.5. Oh, Xerxes has got to be careful not to knock his wing, because he has got that much more grip coming into the braking zones. He's nearly just ran into the back of James going into the chicane. Oh, Sager's on the grass at turns 4 and 5. He's had a little wiggle through the kink of 4. Xerxes again. Yeah, James just doing enough.
Yeah.
He does go defensive to try and consolidate that second place, but he's just doing enough to keep him at bay.
He's getting his car right in the perfect place to defend.
And now, unless Xerxes is really, really brave, he's going to have to wait until turn 1 again for another overtaking opportunity. Oh. Old Dads gets his second penalty. He doesn't want to do that too many more times.
No, but thanks to James, he's got a lot of breathing space.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. That puts a delta of about 8.5 seconds at the moment, still in his favour. Yeah, he doesn't want to do that too many more times.
No. If it did go dry, I wonder if James is doing a trick the real F1 guys did by running these inters into slicks.
Well, again, like we've mentioned, with Hamilton, he did at Turkey.
Yeah, that's what I'm about, yeah.
Yeah, just didn't seem like it would have been possible, and yet he just ran that tyre, I think it was like all but 6 laps, I think it was. Xerxes does look a little closer this time.
James, again, putting his car in a very defensive place, which is making it difficult for Xerxes. And Xerxes wanted to go on the right-hand side, but James said no. And James allowed to defend, moving in one direction, which he did do, which was the right way. And making it very difficult for Xerxes now. Nearly 16 seconds between these and the race leader, Old Dads.
Ooh, a little deep into the chicane again, allows Xerxes to almost get alongside, but there's just nowhere for him to go.
It's so hard to overtake in this track, as we say, in the dry. So in these conditions, Xerxes is getting as close as he can. He's itching to get an opportunity to pass. Very close. Very close.
I think he's almost starting to realise that he's going to have to either be a bit more braver into turns 1 and 2, or go for something a little bit different.
Yeah.
Because he drops back at the beginning of the straight.
He does, because he's running full traction, and he's obviously, he come out of that final corner in 6th gear just to guarantee that he's not going to lose the back end.
Yeah. Yes, as you say, he was 6th gear coming out of that corner, where James was in 3rd
Yeah.
gear.
and full throttle.
Yeah.
So making it very difficult for Xerxes to get past, but Xerxes definitely has the pace, just needs the opportunity to use that pace, which James is just not presenting at the minute. And
oh, that was a nudge. That was a nudge.
That was a little tickle.
I say that's what I was just saying a couple laps ago. He's got to be careful because he's got that braking and turning capability that James won't have with the such difference in tyre life, that Xerxes can easily break his wing, and then even with the fresher tyres, he will start falling back.
Yeah. And that changes Xerxes' race completely. But he is right stuck to the back of that McLaren, and he does make contact again. He's desperate to get past. Losing traction out of the final corner.
I think he was fortunate not to lose his wing there, because that was a slightly heavier hit than it was at the chicane. Don't think he lost any end plate or any parts of the wing at all.
Not lost an end plate. It might have took a little bit of damage, but still everything present from what we can tell from our views. But 21 seconds now, deficit between first and this battle.
Yeah, it's just worked out well for old Dads. He just got out the pits in front.
Xerxes lost the back end, lost half a wing, so he's going to be pitting. And if James has got anything about him and he's just seen that, I think James will take the opportunity to pit at the same time.
It'll make sense to. I was just going to say, I mean, old Dads did. Stay.
Oh no, he changed his mind. He changed his mind.
Yeah.
That must be the delay in the stream, and he's just heard us say it.
But yeah, I mean, you got to think when old Dad's pitted for his second set of inters, he came out just in front of James, didn't he?
Yeah.
So that was absolutely crooks. We've just seen how much time he's gained out of this.
The thing is, Maxi might actually take the third place, and he
does,
because Xerxes has had to wait to have a wing change.
He's nearly with James to take second. That's how much time these guys were losing in that battle with James on such old tyres. Maxi has capitalised there and is now P3.
Xerxes
he does have 6 seconds of penalties though.
Yes.
Does Maxi?
Yes. But maybe he wasn't as clear as I thought he was, but I still think James didn't have any other option there. But Xerxes now coming out with a Williams immediately behind him.
Oh wow, yeah. I hadn't realised how close
so it's really livened this race up, with the exception of old Dad, who's now 41 seconds in the clear.
Yeah, 10 laps to go, 41 seconds clear. He can just try and take it easy and not cut any more corners. Just try and cruise this to the end now.
But given the conditions, I think all the drivers have done really well to have the few penalties they have, and certainly James and CHM to have no penalties.
Yes, definitely. So easy to say, as we've seen on board in qualifying in particular, that you barely have to be off the track for the game to go, no, that's a warning. It's so easy to go off in these conditions just because of that lack of grip, the changing conditions with the the rain seemingly lighter than it was, say, 20 laps ago. Constantly having to adapt to the grip that they have, in their vehicles, in their cars. So to not rack up their penalties is really impressive. It's so easy to understeer, as I think I've just seen Maxi do there.
Yeah.
So easy just to understeer and just creep over that white line and rack up your warnings.
I do think we've seen James's plan unravel there, to be fair. We was very curious as to see what he was trying to do on 40 lap old Inters, but his race strategy there forced Xerxes into a mistake, which has dropped Xerxes out of a podium potential at the minute. And it looks like it could be Maxi crossing the line and taking the third step.
Yeah, Xerxes got to close 7 seconds in 9 laps.
Yeah.
With the penalty differences these two have at the moment to regain that third place. While Poleman, who in the dry looked, well, with the time difference he had in the dry, he looked almost untouchable.
Yeah.
To not, at the moment, not even being on the podium.
Yeah, but I think that's to do with James's plan, because I kind of had it in my head that, well, James will pit soon and then he'll drop to third, and that's the race done and dusted.
Yeah.
But no, he went against what we thought, and we have James Laws on the grass just after turn 1.
Turn 1, yeah. Got the leader behind him.
But yeah, James sticking out and going against what I think we was even thinking and saying, to make it that he's in second place comfortably now.
Say, be the skeptic. Maybe that was his plan. I hope that Xerxes made that mistake to allow him to pit and stay in P2, but possibly just didn't take into account that they lost that much time, that Maxi nearly capitalised on the pair of them.
Yeah. It did look touch and go as to whether James was actually going to pit.
Yeah, I personally, if Xerxes hadn't knocked his wing, I don't think he was gonna.
Probably
the longer
not.
the longer it was going on, the less likely he was going to, because otherwise it just wouldn't have made any sense to go 40, 50 laps on a set to then just do 10 laps.
Yeah. I think his late reaction might have been from game chat. Maybe Xerxes was saying something to say,
potentially,
I've got wing damage. So then James thought, right, now's my time, and changed his mind on what his plan was.
So, yeah, it was a late decision to pit, wasn't it? From James there. He did react very last second to dive into the pit lane. There you go. Xerxes pushing hard has now got his second penalty, which puts him on the same amount of penalties as Maxi, so he's now got to do the whole 9.5 seconds.
Yeah,
if he's going to want to take P3.
I was about to say time now down into the 9 seconds for Xerxes. He's really trying to close that gap, but no, he's crossed the line there, unfortunately, literally. But on par with the race leader.
Tell you what, Maxi has found half a second that lap. He's not given up on P2 just yet. I know it's probably likely to just be P2 on the road and maybe not in the overall results, unless he's able to pass him quickly and then pull away 6 seconds. But he's not given up on that McLaren on the road just yet.
No. Big difference in battery deployment between the two.
A little difference in the tyre life, but I mean, we saw James 30 laps younger than Xerxes was able to keep it in front.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see how this one unfolds. Yeah, just a bit further down the field. So Sega is in P5. He is dropping back from Xerxes. But that again would probably be expected considering the tyre life differences between the two. I let down the state, holding a steady, stable P6. 23 seconds off Sega and about, well, nearly 40 seconds, 35 seconds ahead of Dino, who is in P7. Who also has a massive gap to change behind him in P8. Who has pretty much a similar gap to CHM in P9.
Yeah.
And that's actually it, because Silver Slugger left the session earlier on, didn't he?
Yes.
So that's actually it. So there's only 9 drivers really out there at the moment.
Yeah, and the time difference between Sega and a letdown estate, obviously Sega got in and pitted under the VSC, got out, and then a letdown estate pitted the next lap. Now 24 seconds between them, so in clean air Sega in these conditions is faster, but letdown estate did have a great start to this race.
He did, and he got himself the track position he was wanting to. You know, he was as high as P4, wasn't he? In the early stages.
Yeah.
And then he was just unfortunate to be caught up behind his teammate in the pit stop when it started raining.
Yeah, because that changed the whole thing, because that put him behind Maxi, put Sega on his tail, and he held Sega for a long time, and he did well there to put the car in the right place, and he got the straight line speed to defend down the start-finish straight.
And then the VSC compromised him because Sega did well to react to pit just as the VSC was being deployed.
Yeah.
He read that well with, was it 4 VSCs we've had in this race? 3 or 4?
Yeah. I think 3 or 4 of them was to do with Slugger.
Yeah, we had one for, we've had one, I think, for each of the retirements, haven't we? Blumsands and Prev. I think both of their crashes caused the VSC, I believe.
Yes, you might be right, actually.
And then at least 2 VSCs for Silver Sluggers, spins around turn 4, turn 5 area. Maxi's starting to drop off James now, though. So that's that hope and that chance of getting P2 is fading away.
Yeah, and Xerxes now only 5.3 seconds behind, so if it weren't for that extra penalty he picked up, he would have been...
I was going to say, that's come down fast.
Yeah. Is that Maxi dropping off, or is that Xerxes picking up, or is that both?
Yeah, I mean, it could be an element that Maxi maybe is on the fringes of a third penalty, maybe just one warning away. And it's possibly just almost tense.
And James is off.
Oh no! Spun out the final corner.
Yes, which is not where you want to spin, because if he's taken wing damage, which at the view I can't see right now.
Yep, the end plate's gone. Right end plate's gone.
Oh no! He's struggling.
So Maxi up to P2, Xerxes P3, and Sega might have a chance with that downforce deficit that James has. Sega might have a chance to nick P4 at the end here. Oh, easy, actually. He's closed in 3 seconds in those 2 corners.
Yeah, James is struggling with that. So James is going to have to pit. I know there's only a few laps left because, he can't do that.
Yeah, he can't turn.
He's going to have to pit. Which, with how long it might take, it actually might put a letdown estate in front of him on track.
I think he will lose out to a letdown estate on track, yeah. So I think he's going to lose probably, 10 seconds navigating the remainder of the lap. And then he's got the slow pit stop for the front wing. Yeah, I don't know what happened. He must have just... James Laws has gone on slicks.
What?
James Laws has pitted for the soft tyre.
It has stopped raining.
It has stopped, but there's still a lot of spray being kicked up.
Yeah.
Well, that's... Oh, he's he nearly spun in front of Maxi coming out the pit lane. This is brave.
Crazy. I think there's another word to describe that.
Yeah, not live on stream though. And James pits for his, and of course because he's having to stack.
Yeah.
His pit crew were not ready for him and he's gone on slicks as well.
Oh my days.
What on earth is...
So where it's gone wrong is just gone colossally
That's got to be
wrong.
James. That's got to be James going off, isn't it? Yeah, turn 5. Actually, it's drying up quickly.
It is.
It is drying up rather quickly at the end of this race.
Ooh, James still struggling.
Inter still definitely looks like the right tyre, but that track has all of a sudden lost a lot of its standing water it had only 2-3 laps ago.
Not even that, half a lap ago.
Yeah.
It's a different, completely different environment.
That's James again.
Well, that's it. I mean, James Laws can't keep it on track.
And the other James, Daisy as well. He's gone off at the same place.
Thank God for ghosting.
Yeah.
Thing is, James Laws now is going to have scalding hot tyres.
Yeah. And Sega's pitted for softs. Oh. Why would you take that gamble? 2 laps to go. Why would you take that gamble for slicks? A letdown. Getting 4th place here.
And 2 laps to go. Ooh, like you say.
What's the penalty situation between the two of them? Sega's got 1 less penalty, so letdown state needs to get clear by 3 seconds to take that 4th place. Keep an eye on this middle sector will be the telling point. I'm going to keep an eye on this 4th, 5th battle. I tell you what, Sega's pulling away.
DRS
there you go.
Enabled. There you go.
It's dry for the final lap.
That is bonkers.
Wow. Okay. Well, it makes. I mean, Old Dad's is going to tiptoe it round the final lap.
He's staying out, but he's got 50 seconds clear.
Yeah,
to
I was
going to
say. I mean, he could have easily pitted for the slicks and played it safe because the problem is, in these conditions, those inters will overheat. So he's still got to be careful not to spin up the rears and chuck this in the wall.
James and CHM are actually battling on track for position. But CHM's on inters and James is on his slicks, which definitely seem to be the right tyre this lap.
Old Dad's is navigating his final lap in this bizarre race we've had. So many twists and turns. Old Dad's got the jump off the line, didn't he, at the beginning of the race? And there's been up out front for the majority of the race, but there are times where James was out in the lead, Xerxes was looking like he was going to lead, and it fell back into Old Dad's favour after the second round of inter stops, and he's going to tiptoe this final lap on a dry track on inters to take the win here at Hungary. There's one of the McLarens on the dry tyres unlapped themselves right at the end. probably to go for that fastest lap.
Well,
that'll be...
As you say, Old Dads wins the Hungarian Grand Prix, crossing the line on a dry track on intermediates, 52 seconds in the lead. But as you say, very interesting race we've had. Old Dads dominant throughout, but there was a time when it looked like James was going to be the outright winner, but we've
got James Laws spun out of turn 1. And he's now in the weird position where he's actually on a final lap, yet the leader who's finished the race has actually overtaken him.
Although because Old Dad's overtaken a letdown estate, that meant that he couldn't improve on his position.
Yes.
But
well, we've got to keep an eye on the fastest laps at the end there for that crucial additional point award that you get for that.
Yeah. Maxi, shock. Second place, but well deserved. Xerxes not able to close that gap enough to Maxi, and because he picked up the extra penalty, that means that Xerxes has crossed the line and stays third. But it did look like for a short time that he wasn't going to be having that third place, and it was going to be fourth. But James, unfortunately, suffering massively at the end there.
And Sega did take the fastest lap at the end there on those slicks. So he'll get that benefit. It was actually a 3-second swing at the end there. The slicks were able to do a 118 on that final lap. Wow. What a strange race we just witnessed there.
That was incredible. I'm just seeing if I can get these guys in for a post-race interview. I'm not sure if I have Maxi on my friends list, or if he's not showing us online. I don't think I have him.
Hopefully one of the other guys might that you invite in. Hopefully they can get him in for us.
I'm trying to find Old Dads, but I'm struggling here as well.
And it's blue sky on the results screen. But yeah, Old Dads takes the win with a 53-second margin at the end there over Maxi, who finished P2, and then Xerxes finishing P3 after a few little incidents which held him back. Sega taking P4 with a fastest lap on the final lap. A letdown estate recovering up to P5 and taking advantage of some of the crazy antics we saw at the end of the race there. Daisy taking 6th, one of the few drivers not to get a penalty in this race. Dino in 7th, James Laws in 8th, and CHM rounds out the drivers who finished the race in P9, with Silver Sluggers disconnecting during the race, Blood and Sands and Prev retiring during the wet phase of that race.
Yeah, still only 2 drivers, Daisy and CHM, not picking up penalties, so well done to those.
And while we battle to try and get the top 3 in here, we do have one of them here already, and that is Xerxes. Yeah, while we try and get the other drivers in, Xerxes, please tell us how you're feeling considering the complete random race we've just witnessed there today.
I've been better. Mate, it's just I don't know. It was a tough race. I clearly had the pace in the dry, but as soon as that wet come and after the first spin, I heard you, Vernon, say he feels like he's afraid to go on the throttle, and after I spin that much, I am afraid to go on the throttle. So I couldn't.
Were you listening to us? Were you?
Yeah. I couldn't find a pace. I mean, I had a little bit of contact with Old Dads. I don't know if it was like I went down the inside, and and I think he hit the back of me, but like it was a bit of a dive bomb, so I was like, if that gets appealed, then I'm going to lose 10 seconds. So I thought I'd let him pass.
Yeah, I think we've seen that.
Like, yeah, it was minimal, but I seen him lose control, so I thought it's a bit unfair, really. Even if I wasn't at fault, but I just thought I'd let him go anyway.
Just not take the risk.
Yeah, exactly, and obviously, most importantly, because I'm a nice guy. No, we had a good battle up there. I had a few attempts to get past him, but couldn't put it off. And then I eventually got past him. Then that happened, so I let him pass, and then got past again. Yeah, it was good. A bit of back and forth. And then the rain hit, and yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Tell us of.
Go on,
just tell us of your frustrations and difficulties you were having when you were behind James, since he was obviously going longer on his inters. Obviously, just how frustrating was that you were being held up 2 seconds a lap at points?
Yeah, it feels like we've got two teams working together to defeat one, you know. But no, I'm only joking. Like, it is what it is, isn't it? I had a few pokes at him. I got a bit pushed about, but it's just racing, isn't it? At the end of the day, I suppose. And then once again, through my own mistake, I spun.
Yeah, I think James was inviting that pressure to try and not cause an incident.
Yeah,
I don't think there was anything malicious there at all, but he was just trying to use his track position to his full advantage, which seemed like it was going to work until the race dynamic changed again as he spun at the end, and Maxi snuck in there for a shock second place.
Well, I said to Chris after I let old Dad's pass and then I spin, that's my kind of karma, that is. You know, I'll do something good and then shit happens to me, but well, again, it's just my only weakness is spinning, I suppose. I mean, I did alright in quali, that went alright, but and then obviously I held up Mark, as he's just said in the Discord. Yeah, sorry about that, mate. I needed a new wing.
Yeah, so we caught that, and I picked up on that as just it was so unfortunate for Letdown Estate to
yeah, it was
having to wait as long as he ended up having to, with the way that this game is with stacked pit stops. It doesn't manage it.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate for James as well. He did so well, like no pens. Like,
yeah,
it was like a different person. But he did really well, to be fair. And it was like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. As I went past, I was like, James has spun it. But in the back of my head, I was like, fuck, that's so gutting for him because he's done so well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I seen that opportunity and went for it, and then I tried to push to get Maxi, and got a penalty.
Yeah, I mean, it was strong from three of the drivers there. Yourself putting it on pole, your pole time was like 6 tenths faster than old Dad's, and then you invalidated with 5 tenths in the bank on your final attempt. Then old Dad's got the jump straight at the start, and then it seemed to be the race between you two, but then you both spun. James took the lead, and then unfortunately for the VSC had a drive through, so it constantly changing.
Yeah, it's all over the place, but it keeps it interesting, I suppose. You know, it would have been nice to keep up with old Dad's, but I think we were pretty much matched on pace in the wet. I just couldn't get any time on him at all. And then obviously when I got stuck behind James, he just went for it.
It's almost as if you guys were chopping and changing for our benefit for the spectate side. So there was a phase of the race where it was just watching you trying to battle past James, for example. The rain really spread the guys out. And yeah, you guys were really keeping us on our toes almost, with action everywhere with spins and collisions.
Yeah, it sounded a bit. It went a bit dead towards the middle, but then the end was just pandemonium.
The dry weather, the dry weather caught us out. How quickly it dried out.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, and I think that's what James. If I hadn't have spun, I think that's what James was waiting for anyway. because yeah, they had some serious pace towards the end. But me spinning obviously gave him the time to pit and change. But yeah, never mind.
No, it was a fantastic race. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the others in on the voice chat for a post-race interview, but congratulations
Shout out
on
to Chris
your...
as well. Sorry to interrupt. Shout out to Chris. he kept me calm.
He's a good race manager.
Spinning. Yeah, he's like, just get your head down. You can do it. And I was like, cheers, Chris.
You can do it.
No, but it seems he's got the Red Bull seat in AL1 to Pierre Gasly when he drove for Red Bull, which is a shame. With 2 DNFs in a row. So thanks for that.
No, but congratulations. Congratulations
Yeah,
on pole and congratulations on your podium finish, bud.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Thanks a lot. No, good fun.
No, and that's it for the Hungarian Grand Prix round 12. Join us next week for Spa, where we're in Belgium, and we'll enjoy some Rouge there. So thanks very much all, and see you soon.
Ta-ra.
Good night, all.
Love you.